My name is Lauge and I'm a woodworker. I'm also the brother of Astrid, who is one of the people behind this game called Welcome to Elk. And that's also why this whole thing started, kind of because in my youth I was traveling a lot and living different places and working there. And through these travels, I had my own experience of these places, and also I was told a lot of local tales, and therefore, in between the travels, I was like telling friends and family about what I've experienced. So that's how Astrid, she basically came up with this idea. Welcome to Elk is loosely based on some of the local tales I was told when I was in California, and also on other stories from other travels that I've been on. And I guess a lot of other people have shared their stories, and they're part of the games as well. And it's a bit fun to see and recognize the stories when you play the game, and to see how they're changed in certain directions, and what is left and what is, One of the stories that I brought home with me from California was about the character Beth, who was one of the local drunks in a town called Greenland. And she was one of the everyday customers on this bar, where she used to show up with her brother, sitting there all day drinking. And at some point, as I guess you also experienced in the game, her brother, he passed away a couple of times at least. And Beth, she after a while decides to go to another bar. She actually moved a town over, and due to she not showing up in this bar, make a local journalist for the local newspaper think that she must have been passed away. First her brother, and now she's gone as well. So she actually write a small article about it in the newspaper, which Beth, of course, out drinking, her phone calls, and it's her old neighbor from the old town who is, I'm just checking in on you because I read in the paper today that you were dead. No, you're pulling my leg or something like that. And you get hold of the newspaper from the other town, and yeah, that's true. There's a small article of loving memory and all that about her being dead. Her later to find out that it was just because she wasn't showing up in her local drunk. So I ended up in California because before that I was in Greenland, which is really cold, and I thought that now I needed to go someplace warmer. So I looked up a lot of English-speaking warm places I could go, so that I could communicate while working there. And I figured out to call a certain time of the day in Denmark where they will have evening in the Caribbean, and also morning time or early day in Hawaii. And so I just basically started calling east to west. And I got a hold of a lot of people on the phone, but when I got to California, this lady picked up, and she immediately recognized my Danish accent and thought I was a family member of her husband, who actually was the guy I was trying to reach, because he was, and I didn't know, but he was actually from Denmark. I didn't know because his last name was West, which is not a common Danish name. So we started talking in Danish over the phone, and we agreed to that I could come work for him the next fall. And so I did, and I was there for some time. Green card guys. Before I went to California, I was, as I just told you, I was in Greenland, and I don't know why I ended up there particularly. I was trying to get to Canada actually at the moment. I somehow got hold of this guy who had a carpenter firm in Greenland. And also my parents, they met in Greenland and they've been living there and working for several years. So I actually grew up with a lot of stories from up there. And also in my teens I was there for a couple of weeks, and I think it needed more exploring, but I didn't have a certain plan with it, and it just sort of happened. Traveling around both just as a backpacker, but also working and living where you are, you meet a lot of different people. But I experienced that when you work there and live there for a longer period, you meet people in another way. You get to know them more deeply, and also you meet some of the people that you might not have noticed if you were just passing through in a couple of weeks, a couple of days. Of course, when you get to a place, the first people you meet is the most outspoken and the most colorful people often. But when you are there for a while, you get to know actually who you like and also who you dislike, and also all these crazy side characters with their quirky qualities and differences, and yeah, and also you get the whole way of being at that place. You get the whole the rhythm. For example, in Greenland, you don't have time in the same way you do in Denmark. If you say you meet at 7 in Denmark, or if you say can you come over for lunch, you will say at what time. You will get a time and you will be there 5 minutes ahead of time. But both in Greenland extremely is just like come over for dinner, and when I don't know, we will start cooking when you're there, so you just come by. And also kind of in California they can have this certain laid back rhythm to the whole lifestyle. I only tried elk briefly on a few occasions. I must admit it's actually been a while, but I remember it as quite fun to see how these stories have been changed, but still are the same. To see them some of these stories are so crazy, and to see such a crazy story being processed through other people's minds, and to re-experience them or being them retold is that's funky. Right before I went to California, me and my girlfriend, we bought this boat actually that we are on right now, and we did that due to low living costs, so that we could travel a lot. But also we started up a small woodwork shop who has grown since, and except for like a weekend in Berlin or something, we've basically just been grounded working on the firm and making it grow. So that's what most of the time goes with today. That's getting work done. But also we have a small sailing boat separated from this that we use in the summertime, and I have a couple of motorcycles and some mopeds that I like to try to get running, keep running. Yeah.